using any relational model, because the inherent structure of this data is different. Similar case is something like Wikipedia. So where you have millions of documents, and each document contains the text, images, and then there are different form of text as well. So it's basically a combination of structured and unstructured data. So let's say you want to fire some queries on something like this that retrieve all pages regarding the athletics of Summer Olympic before 1950. So then imagine how are you going to fire the query? If it's a relational model, then how can you build this? So there are lots of challenges when you want to maintain this kind of a data, which requires some specific which has some specific requirements with respect to the application. So we need an innovation in this, and that's why the industry and the entire research community has started working on it, and they have found in form of NoSQL. So let us first discuss that NoSQL, what it is with respect to RDBMS. So when you talk about RDBMS, it's basically a structured and organized data. You can imagine MySQL, Oracle, or MS SQL, any. You have to first create the database. You have to first create the tables. So that means it's a structure. You require a structure of a table to start with. Second, you require a SQL language whenever you want to retrieve something or whenever you want to perform some transactions on that particular data. Third thing, there exists a relationship and you require a separate table for relationship as well. That depends on what type of relationship you have. So there can be, what are the types of relationship we can have in entity relationship model? Anyone? What are the types of relationship in ER model?
Sir, one to many, many to one, many to many.
And one to one. So these are the four different types of relationship, and each of these relationship, you require a separate mechanism. For example, if you want to maintain one to many or many to one, it's vice versa. You can have a foreign keys in a single table. If you want to maintain a many to many relationship, then you require a separate table, because you will have a foreign key of each table or each entity for which you are building a relationship. So you require a relationship table separately in case of many to many relationship. So basically you require different tables, and that will represents data as well as the relationship. There exists DML, that is data manipulation language, data definition language. DML stands for the update queries, and data definition means create and alter. Then it has all the ACID properties, tight consistency of data. When it comes to the NoSQL, it stands for not only SQL, as we have discussed earlier. With difference to RDBMS, NoSQL does not have any declarative query language. So you don't have something like SQL, which is universal for every database. Different NoSQL database has a different way of executing the queries. So there is no standard actually when it comes to the query language in NoSQL databases. No predefined schema. That means at the beginning of an application, you just require to create a database. That's it. And you can start with your work, you can create. And as on when there is a requirement, you can create a document, or if it's a graph, then you can create a node. So basically, you don't require a schema at the starting of your application. As on when, depending on the data, you can play with it. There are mainly four type of NoSQL database. We'll discuss these types in detail as well. Key value pair storage, column store, document store, and graph database. We will discuss that in detail. With respect to the properties, RDBMS has ACID property, whereas here you don't have ACID properties. So you have rather an eventual consistency when it comes to the properties. We will discuss that in detail as well. Unstructured and unpredictable data, it is related to no schema defined. Then CAP theorem is applicable. What is CAP theorem? That also we will discuss. Objective over here is high performance, high availability, and high scalability, because we are thinking about using this database in big data applications where you have a lot to deal with. And one of them is scalability. Second is availability, because you are dealing with the distribution or distributed storage or processing model. And third is a performance, because it's not a standalone system. You are working with the cluster of a system. So performance is always going to be an issue. So the priority or the objective over here is to optimize these three terms. And when it comes to the transaction, it has a base transaction. So we will discuss that also in detail. So let us first discuss the CAP theorem. Now, CAP is an acronym which stands for three things. First is consistency, second is availability, and third is partition tolerance. Now, it is being given by Brewer's, so that's why it's also known as the Brewer's theorem. It's a CAP theorem. So, what is that theorem says? It says that there are three basic requirements which exist in spatial relation when designing application for a distributed architecture, but it is almost impossible to achieve all of these three together. That's what CAP stands for. This is the theorem. You can't achieve all consistency, availability, and partition tolerance in a single system. That is the theorem. So let us discuss this term first: consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. Consistency. This is not a new word. It means that the data in the database remain consistent after the execution of an operation. For example, if you update a user profile, let's say you are updating your Facebook profile page, then all the users who are connected, all your friends should be, if they have an access to your profile page, they should be seeing the same page which you have updated and not the previous one. So that is called consistency. After the update operation, your data should remain consistent. That means for the entire community or for the entire application, throughout your application, your data should remain the same. Why we are discussing this? You may be saying that, okay, it always remains the same. Nothing, what's new in that? Remember, here we are discussing a distributed storage. There are some replicas as well. So when you are storing your profile page, it's not necessary that it will be stored only on a single disk. That profile page may exist on a different machines. So when you change one, that should reflect each and every replica which is being maintained by the system. So that's why you talk about the consistency, because it's not a single storage, it's not a central storage, it's a distributed storage. So that's the first property. Second is availability. This means that the system is always on, no downtime. It's always accessible. That's what it means. I think it's easy to understand it. That what do we mean by availability? That system should be always up. There should not be any downtime. And the third one is partition tolerance. Now, partition tolerance means that when you divide a data, when you are creating a split, how your application or how your system will tolerate it. That's called a partition tolerance. So even though you create a various splits of it, the system should remain or it should continue to function even though you have created the partitions. So even though all the partitions may be on the different nodes and they might have some servers which may be reliable, unreliable, etc. But in all the all the disturbing cases, all the problems, whatever that problem can be, your system should be in running state. That's what we mean by partition tolerance. So these are the three properties which, according to Brewers, are required for any distributed database. Now, what is Brewer's observations and his theorem? When he says that, then there must be something which he possesses. So his research says that you can't achieve all these three together. There has to be combination of two out of all these three. And so CAP provides the basic requirement for a distributed system, follow two of three requirements. So you have to follow either of this, means you have to follow two requirements only instead of all the threes together. So basically when you put it together, there are three combinations, CA, CP and AP. So let's discuss what it is, and because these are the properties based on which you have a such specific database is available. So for example, if you want to achieve consistency and availability, then you have one database. So it's like a single site cluster. So therefore all the nodes are always in connection. So when a partition occurs, the system will block. So that means that this will not work in case of that P factor. CP stands for consistency and partition tolerance. Because you are allowing a kind of a partitioning, the system may not be accessible every time. And the third one is A and P. So system is always available, partition is also allowed. But due to that, system may not be consistent. So at one point, at one partition, you have done some changes. They might not be reflected on some another partitions. So system may not be consistent, data may not be consistent. See, when we discuss it doesn't mean that it will always remain inconsistent. Then there is no point of having A and P, or there is no point of having this kind of a database. If something is not partition tolerance, then it's not a distributed database. The point we are discussing over here is that at an instance of a time, you cannot achieve all these three together. You have to bear with some delay for achieving the third. If you are going for two, then you have to bear some delay for achieving the third. So always, obviously, you have to achieve three together. Otherwise, it's not a database. It's not a distributed database. If it's a distributed database, then you have to achieve these three. But the point over here is, our theorem says that at any point, at any instance, you can't have all three together. You have to bear some delay, and you have to design the system according to that only. So based on this, there are various databases in market. So there is a MongoDB, there is HBase, there is a Redis, which are providing consistency and partition tolerance. Then there is availability and partition tolerance. So for that you have CouchDB, Cassandra, DynamoDB, React, etc. And then there is RDBMS, which we normally use, which possesses consistency and availability. It is not partition tolerant. And that's why you have to think of different system when you talk about the large data. Okay, so I think the CAP theorem says that you have to compromise with one of the property out of consistency, atomicity, and partition tolerance. So according to that, then let's discuss what are the pros and cons of NoSQL databases, because you have to deal with it, and you have to find out whether I should use NoSQL or should not use NoSQL. Okay, so it's not that always you can use everything. You have to think about your application, and then you have to take the decision. So what are the advantages? Obviously the first is high scalability. Due to its inherent architecture, the system is highly scalable both in horizontal and vertical domain. We will discuss, or let's discuss now only, what is horizontal scalability and what is vertical scalability. Any idea? Okay, so let me ask you a cross question. Let say you are creating a table, database table or a user table, and there are four columns: user ID, password, username, and contact number. Right? Your user ID is email ID. So email ID, password, name, and contact number. These are the four columns. Horizontal scalability means that you can add infinite, practically or sorry, theoretically, infinite number of records in this table. So there is no limitations. That's what horizontal scalability means. That your system can be horizontally scalable. So you can create a you can slice it. So let's say you have a million row in one table, another million in another table, another million in another table. So that's called an horizontal scalability. Vertical scalability means that you have this identify these four columns, right? Name, contact number, email, and password. Then at some point of time that, okay, now our system also requires, say, let's say an address. So in case of a relational database, what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to create a column, you are supposed to add a column which is to that existing table. But see, this is not a solution actually, because adding a column to a table, you might think that, okay, it will work actually. There is no problem in that. But it is not just a simple application where you just require to add a column. There may be another applications as well that where adding a simple column is not going to help. You require something more than that. So that's called a vertical scalability. Vertical means that you are maintaining some informations, but you require to change the attributes or the fields of a record. Then whether that database will be able to do it or not, that's a vertical scalability. If it can be done, then you can say that database technology is vertically scalable. But if it is restricted, then you can't say that it's a vertically scalable. Similarly, when you can insert an infinite number of rows in any record set, then you can say it's horizontally scalable. You can divide a distribution, or you can maintain a places where you can store this data. So obviously, NoSQL database has a high scalability in both the domain, both the direction, horizontal or vertical. Distributed computing. Mm, these are two terms: distributed and computing. Distributed, it's known to you because it's a distributed database only. So your entire data is stored on a different node on a machine or a cluster. But what do we mean by computing? Where do you require computation in case of databases? Any idea? Any guesses?
Sir, if we want to add more horizontal scaling, so
Hmm.
we may require that suppose I have a system that is designed to store up to certain amount of records. So
Hmm.
after that limit is increased, we might require the same exact another set of hardware to store the next records.
Okay.
And if for vertical scaling, we might need to increase the specifications of a particular system, like improving the CPU power or adding more RAM to provide better and faster results.
Yes, so that that is, I think that's you are saying in computing terms of computational power, but the context which is used over here is, let me give you an example. Let's say we want to compute an average of some column, right? So there are 10 million records and you want to find out an average. So obviously these 10 million records are stored on a different machine. So what is the ideal solution? What you require is you will find the average on each machine, and then you will obviously you find out some another way for finding an average. Or let's say sum. Average is not a good example. Let's say you want to find out the summation. You want to find out the sum of some numbers or some columns or some field in a table. So you will compute sum at every node, and then you will again aggregate that result to compute the final outcome or final result. So distributed computing in that context, that you can move your computational to the database rather than bringing your data into the computation. You can move your computation to the databases. That kind of a support is required, and that can be given by NoSQL. So that is the second advantage. The third one is lower cost. Now, you may ask or you may argue that how can it be lower? See, it lower in terms of the requirement, storage requirement. So, see, when you have a system like MySQL or Oracle, they do require a huge memory internally to manage all the properties or all the transactions which we are performing. Sometimes you require a lightweight storage, and sometimes you don't require everything. So Oracle provides you the every aspect. It gives you everything. MySQL gives you everything. But sometimes you don't require everything actually. So you require some lightweight kind of a system which can be built. And a cost over here means that not just the financial cost means the time complexity and space complexity, remember. So the amount of time required and amount of space required to represent the data, which may not be required all the capability which MySQL Oracle provides you, then NoSQL is a better candidate. So that's the third advantage of having NoSQL. Fourth is well known. It's easy to understand, that schema flexibility or semi-structured data. So I'm not discussing more on that. It's highly flexible. If you discuss MongoDB, then schema is always flexible. And fifth one is no complicated relationships. So maintaining this relationship and everything, there is no foreign key, there is no parent-child kind of a stuff. So there are less complications when it comes to the relationship. All the related things are stored together only. So when you require something, you can get the entire everything related to that particular data point. So that gives you a more simple version of maintaining the data. You may argue that this is also a cons as well. Yes, you are right. That, but this is again, it's an application specific. In some application, having or not having this complex relationship is an advantage. So then, what are the limitations or disadvantages? The first and fundamental limitations is no standardization. In SQL, if you are working on Mongo, or if you are working on MySQL, then you can easily migrate to Oracle. Then you can easily migrate to MS SQL. The reason for that is there is a standard for it. There is a structured query language, and almost all the aspects are similar in each of these technology. Here, in case of NoSQL, there is no standardization. Every database technology uses its own syntax, and sometimes it may not work, because as a developer, as a programmer, as a developing community, this actually becomes the headache, because creating a resources, creating an experience resources is actually creating a huge problem. So that's why standardization, people are looking into this, people are actually bringing everything together, but still the days are means there is a still a huge scope of having some standard in this domain. Another limitation is limited query capabilities. And there is a reason actually, because when you don't have any relationship, which is actually your advantage, then it comes with some kind of a limitations associated with that. Because the query capability is limited when it comes to NoSQL databases. However, it's still under development, and you will find a databases where they are highly capable of firing queries. Another is the eventual consistency, but sometime eventual consistency, we'll discuss that in detail. Sometimes you require real-time kind of a stuff. Sometimes for every application, eventual consistency may not work. So there may be the another limitations. So these are the pros and cons of NoSQL databases. The next is the Bayes theorem. The Bayes is basically an acronym. Again, was defined by Eric Brewer. So he was the person who are behind this CAP and Bayes both. So CAP theorem says that you can't achieve this all these three properties together. But then what is the solution? The solution is Bayes. What is Bayes stands for? Bayes stands for BA stands for basic availability, S stands for soft state, and E stands for eventual consistency. So you can't achieve ACID in NoSQL, but you can achieve Bayes property in SQL. And those applications which are comfortable with this, they can be easily implemented using NoSQL technologies. So what is basic availability? Availability means that it always available. Now here, basic availability means that you can't bear you can bear some delay. So when that is a case, the database appears to work most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. Then that's a basic availability what he terms. Then second is a soft state. Now, what do we mean by soft state? It means that the data stores don't have to be write consistent, nor do different replicas have to be mutually consistent all the time. So you may have, again, you can bear some delay for consistency as well. So write consistent means that if I write something, if I change some record, then immediately it will be affected at every places. No. If you are comfortable with again having some delay, then that system can work. That's what we call a soft state. It's not always, it's a hard state means that once you do this, it's 100%, it's everywhere. Soft state means that you can have some delay. You can't you can bear some delay. Let's say you are changing a profile picture, but your friends can will see it after, let's say, 5 minutes. So there is nothing wrong in that actually. If your friends are seeing your profile picture after 5 minutes, then उसमें कुछ उल्टा सीधा होने वाला नहीं है. There is nothing which will be lost actually. It's basically you are just doing some light stuff on that particular platform. So when you have that kind of an application, soft state will work, and that's why NoSQL is preferable. Eventual consistency. Eventual consistency means that after some time, your system will become consistent. So again, it's basically, if you observe this, CAP stands for consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. Again, if you are comfortable with having relaxation in each of this, then it's a NoSQL application. So instead of availability, you are having a basic availability. Instead of partition tolerance, that means your system is highly tolerant to the partitions which you have made. You are comfortable with some kind of a delay for maintaining those partitions, so stock state. And instead of a consistency, you are eventual consistency. Means after some time, eventually you will get the your data consistent. So you add some delay into the cap, it will become the base. And those applications which can have or which will work in this particular with this property, they are strong candidate for NoSQL database storage. So this is what actually there cannot be any acid versus base, but just an acronym which are we using. So I hope you are clear with the principle or the fundamental aspect of NoSQL. Basically, it is different than relational in various aspect. There are some advantages and limitations as well. And theoretically, it is based on a cap theorem where you can't achieve these three together. And there is a base theorem which says that if any application falls or if any applications are okay with that base property, then that application become a good candidate for having no SQL data storage as a database technology. So the next is types of NoSQL database, but that I will discuss in the next class. So if you have any query till this point, we can discuss on that. Yes, anyone want to discuss something? Okay, so with this, I think I'll stop here and see you at 11.